Welcome to this special edition of Studio Cool. We're calling it We Are Amarillo. On today's show, we're exploring all the things that make Amarillo great for both the people that live here and for the thousands of people who visit here each and every year. Amarillo is proud to tout that its ranches and feedlots produce 25% of the nation's and 88% of Texas's beef, but it's also home to some of the finest art galleries and excellent eateries in the state. Today we look at those things that make the city great, starting with one of the most famous landmarks, a big steak. Let's be honest, there's a pretty large radius around Amarillo where if you drive down the highway, you're going to realize there's a sizable steak available in town. And if you're good, you can get it for free.
The original Big Texan used to host a lot of the cowboys that worked in the stockyards. In fact, my dad, being the Yankee he put a big 12 top in the middle of the dining room, and whenever the cowboys would come in, he would let them sit there because he was discovering too about the Western mystique, the Texas mystique about what made Texas. And it was so funny because these cowboys would come in and try to outdo each other. He would cash their paychecks and sell them 25-cent beer. So by the end of the night, they were doing some antics that the tourists just loved sitting and watching. And one day he decided that next week all of them were going to put the $5 into a cowboy hat, and he was going to serve 1-pound steaks over a 1-hour period, and whoever ate the most 1-pound steaks would get the money in the hat. And one cowboy ate 4 1/2 1-pound steaks, which is 72 ounces. And to show off on top of that to his friends, he also ate a baked potato, a shrimp cocktail, a roll, and some butter. And my dad said, from this day forward, anybody that can eat this dinner, which is 4 1/2 1-pound steak, 72 ounces, gets it for free. And that was in 1962.
And the rest, as they say, is history. Since that famed evening in 1962, 100,000 people have tried. More than 10,000 have eaten the $72 steak for free.
We want people to win. You know, everybody thinks, oh, you want to beat them out of a steak. That steak probably costs us, what, $21, $22?
Cheap, nothing.
But if they eat that thing, and we're lenient on it if they're eating on it. I mean, if they got this much to go, well, that looks like Chris, so you did a good job. You know, you're a winner. They're going to go out and tell the world, you know, I ate the 72-ounce steak. You know, if they lose, they're not going to be as upfront about what they did or they didn't do.
And the Brothers Lee mean the world. 18% of the business at the Big Texan comes from international customers, credited mostly to the incredible exposure on the Travel Channel. European and Asian tourists are experiencing this cultural phenomenon for the first time.
There seems to be more and more interest in the Big Texan, which is, you know, a compliment.
Sure, the food is great and the atmosphere is legendary, but perhaps the most important part to the success comes because of the two brothers, who admittedly don't always see eye to eye on things.
I'm the kite string and he's the kite. I remain grounded and Bob just trying to hang on and see what kind of what he comes up with. It's just amazing.
No, it's easy. I mean, my job is to keep us on the front page. His job is to keep us off the obituaries.
Yeah.
So it works that well that way.
The Big Texan got its start on Route 66 in 1960. R.J. Bob Lee, Bobby and Danny's father, moved to Amarillo from the north.
He was a Yankee. He knew nothing about being a cowboy.
But he did know how to make something work. In 1970, when I-40 opened and business left Route 66, the Big Texan moved to its current location.
And we both grew up in the business and swore we'd never be in the restaurant business. Didn't want to be. Did everything we could to get out of it.
And he does mean everything. From stints in the electronics business to time spent on the pro wrestling arena, it seems like these two were destined to follow in their father's legacy.
You have to keep on reinventing yourself, pushing that reset button, getting up every day and saying, what else, what other rock haven't we tried turning over yet? And Bob will come running in one day and he goes, I got the best idea. I know what, this is going to make us $1 million. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Some of Bobby's bright ideas this year, a 15,000-gallon brewery and newly expanded beer garden, and a brand new gift shop. One of the questionable ones?
Dinosaur in the parking lot. We had to put the gloves on for that one and go out back, and we discussed it for a while, and I lost.
Wait. Why did you want it, though? What was that about?
We didn't have one.
We didn't have one.
We didn't. Oh, it's $20,000 fun.
He calls it the dinosaur.
Random, maybe. Effective? The guys think so.
As proud of Amarillo as we are, we would love for it to be a destination. Make sure that people are aware of what else is there to do around here, all the different attractions that we have. Because we want Amarillo to be a, more than an overnight stay or just a pass through. We want it to be, a 1 or 2 destination.
Two brothers on a never-ending pursuit to give Amarillo tourists and locals alike their version of the authentic Texas experience. Y'all ever gonna retire?
That's a great question. I mean, really
That's
good.
a scary question.
Yeah.
I thought retire is you do that when you have a job.
Yeah. We want to get hired anywhere else.
The Big Texan actually sells 110 tons of beef every year. That's a huge number. Eric Miller, our good friend from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, joins us now with an even more extraordinary number, right?
I do have a great number for you. I mean, Amarillo is a beef town, and there's none bigger than the big 72-ounce steak at the Big Texan. So here's the question.
Okay.
Who is more successful eating the steak, men or women?
I mean, my initial thought is probably men, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's up to you to decide.
Okay, I'm going to go with men.
With men?
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Of course I am. I'm frequently
And
wrong.
here's the amazing thing. 1 in 7 men are successful. 1 out of 2 women
Really?
are successful eating the big steak.
That's pretty remarkable. That's some good stuff.
That's very remarkable.
Okay, you've got some more interesting factoids for us throughout the show. You stick around for us?
I am looking forward to it.
All right, very good. Okay, coming up next, it's a big reason Amarillo visitors come to the city to get their kicks on Route 66. To We Are Amarillo, where now we find ourselves on the Mother Road, on the main street of America. Most people just call it historic Route 66. And here in Amarillo, on the original stretch of Route 66 on 6th Avenue, you'll find some of the most unique dining experiences and wonderful antique shops. I mean, obviously you have a passion for it. After all, it is on your shirt.
Yes, it is. It's on a lot of my shirts. I have hundreds of Route 66 shirts.
Meet Crocodile Lyle, the official spokesperson for Amarillo's part of historic Route 66.
These buildings were built in the 20s and 30s. Most of them have historic plaques on the wall.
The 2,448-mile stretch of road from Chicago to Santa Monica started in 1926. It was paved in 1937.
It's Americana. It's history. You know, this thing kicked off in 1926, and then after World War II, it just mushroomed. Everyone was going to California to live the golden dream, seeing the road, and these were the only way to travel then before the interstates hit. You know, you go from one end of this country to the other on an interstate, never see anything, never meet anybody. But on 66, you get to meet the people, the lady that makes your burger, the lady that makes your pie, the lady that pours your shake or malt or whatever.
The best way to see it, Mr. Lyle says, is by motorcycle or convertible. And lucky for us, we have one of those handy.
Can't tell you, it was miles and miles and miles of neon. If you wanted to go dancing, drinking, eating out there on Amarillo Boulevard, it was so cool.
Some say 100,000 Europeans come through every year to see Route 66, popular mostly, perhaps, because of the song. But a recent resurgence along historic Route 66 has inspired several new businesses to open their doors in the last few years. Businesses like Cowboy Gelato.
Well, the mystique of Route 66, and plus the fact that, if you noticed, we have a little bit of different niche here. You know, all of our burgers aren't not quite like a burger you'd get anywhere else. Our sandwiches aren't quite what you would get everywhere else, and obviously our ice cream is something you can't quite get anywhere else.
True, Cody. Beer-flavored gelato probably isn't on everyone's list of normal after-dinner treats, but it should be.
Beer floats and margarita gelato floats, you know, and things like that, and that's kind of something new for people to try out.
And business is good for shops of all kinds, particularly during the spring and summer months.
And that's the things that we're trying to do is kind of get more locals involved and do more fun things for locals, especially during the off season. So not only spring and summer, something to gear up for.
And here's Wild Bill's filling station. You can get a really good green chili cheeseburger there. It's kind of a biker hangout on a warm day.
Great history, great food, great shopping, and some solid Texas charm.
A lot of the places have full bars. A lot of them have cold beer. And that's one word in Texas, by the way.
You can find out more about events, shopping, and dining experiences on Route 66 at Amarillo66.com. Up next, Wonderland Park lights 20,000 light bulbs every single night. We're going to find out how it got its start. For thousands of families, Wonderland Park is an annual summer and spring tradition. But for some people critical to the history of Wonderland Park, it's way more than just the Texas tornado and the fantastic journey. 3 rides. That's what Paul and Aletha Rhodes started Wonderland Park with back in 1951. Paul Burkhart married the Rhodes' daughter, Paula, and continued the family tradition into the 21st century.
Paul and I got out of the Navy in 1969, and we've been here ever since. You know, one of the great things about this is that we enjoy what we do, and it's a tremendous opportunity to do fun things for people. And people, you know, what can I say? People pay me to get them sick.
250,000 people come through the Wonderland gates every summer to see some old traditions.
I'd say the big thing that happened to us was in 1971 when we put in the old sports cars and built the Fantastic Journey Dark Ride and this particular ride, the Pinfari coaster. So during that period of time, 71 through 76, we saw the greatest increase in attendance because we became more than just a local small carnival type park to a real amusement park.
And perhaps that's part of the gig, always finding something new. But in 1986, Paul decided that he needed a game changer at the park, something that no one had done before.
You have to remember that at that time, there were very few steel roller coasters being built, and the ones that were really fun. And it was fun because the corkscrew or looping coasters. So we said we got to do something better if we're going to put it in. So we put in a double loop roller coaster, and ours was the first to have 2 loops separated. And the second loop was even more thrilling because it took you underground. And the separation of the loops was with a high-speed turn, dip and turn. So we had some very unique things, and that put us into the Roller Coaster Hall of Fame for developing that.
True, Wonderland Park isn't a big theme park.
Come here and you can ride, you don't have to stand in line, and it's very economical.
But it's got a certain charm, and you sure can't find that everywhere.
Number 1, have a fun place. Number 2, clean and friendly. You know, and all those blend together in what we have here in Amarillo. And Amarillo is that kind of a city. We're a clean city, we're a fun city, we're a familiar city. We don't have strangers, we smile, we say hello, we wave. You know, you don't get that everywhere.
For more information on the park and for coupons and hours of operation, be sure and visit wonderlandpark.com. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at Amarillo's thriving and unique art scene. Welcome back to downtown Amarillo, where Eric and I find ourselves in front of a very important installation.
It is a very important installation. We're at the Courtyard by Marriott downtown. It's the old Fisk building. It has a beautiful neon sign. Now, in the whole Courtyard chain, there are only 2 neon signs. This one and the one on their property in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Now, this building also is experiencing something pretty neat, huh?
Yeah, very soon it's going to be on the National Register of Historic Places. Another great little tidbit about downtown Amarillo.
And there's some pretty unique buildings downtown as well.
This is perhaps the best collection of Pueblo Deco architecture in the country, bar none.
Amarillo is also home to a thriving arts community. Here's a look at how the wide open spaces and the starry nights provide some great inspirations for some very creative people.
for the size of Amarillo, I think we are so fortunate to have the arts that we have. People come to Amarillo, you know, for Powder Canyon and for the Play Texas, which is great, and I think they're pleasantly surprised when they come here.
Amarillo has its own symphony, ballet, theater companies, and opera to be proud of, not to mention strong contributions from arts departments at West Texas A&M and Amarillo College. Because of the limited resources available in the city, though, these groups have found a way to make beautiful music together.
They're donors, they share the Civic Center or the Globe News Center, and they all get along remarkably. They collaborate a lot. You know, you see the symphony and the ballet during Nutcracker, or you know, museums collaborate in things.
There's also a strong collaborative community in the visual arts here in the city as well.
You know, there's been a big art scene here for 100 years that visual art's been happening in Amarillo. And in 2004, there was a nice surge of sort of contemporary work in young artists. And in that time, it's grown leaps and bounds. You know, there are easily 40 or 50 active working artists. There are people who are supporting those artists. There are people who are buying art. The myth that this isn't an art town has been completely dismantled over the last 10 years that I've been back.
And as the arts movement grows, so does the need for funding.
And they do share donors. They share, I mean, they go and get grants. You know, they go to the Texas Commission on the Arts or Meadows Foundation or Amarillo area. They all share that, but at the same time, we're so fortunate to have local foundations that try to support the arts as much as they can.
One of the biggest places where we've seen growth is in patronage. People who are not just looking to decorate their house anymore, but are looking to actually invest in something with a deeper narrative, with a more profound statement behind it. And when you have patrons who are supporting the artists are more motivated, they're more financially capable, so their work progresses and gets stronger, and that stronger work finds larger patrons, and without both of those groups of people, it can't happen. Art can't exist in a vacuum.
As the money is, though, there must be continued interest and support from locals and visitors alike.
With the arts, I think it's important because obviously it enhances the quality of life. I think when people are considering moving or relocating, I think when a business is considering relocation, they're usually coming from a larger town that is popular with the arts, and I think they want that for their family. And you know, they look at so many different things, but I think arts is right up there, and I just think it's important for a community to have a strong arts.
It's a national trend at this point to utilize culture to grow mid-sized town economies. Towns like Amarillo have managed to survive the recession in part because we're sort of protected from it because we support each other. And in towns the size of Amarillo all across the country, arts and culture scenes are expanding and bringing in tourism dollars, bringing new economies to the table that people hadn't anticipated. And what we see happening in Amarillo is it's an ideal space. It has inexpensive rent, large spaces, you can afford to have a studio, you can afford your supplies. And so we're finding that artists are leaving the big cities and starting to move more towards the middle-sized towns. And with the onset of the internet and social media, you can sell your work anywhere, from anywhere. And I think what we're going to continue to see is the expansion of this creative economy. Because it does, it produces. It produces significant income, it produces significant cash flow. And if you approach it from that perspective, it's really nowhere to go but up.
We've got more of this special edition of Studio 4 on the way, but for now, a quick break. It's no secret that sports in Texas are paramount, but high school sporting events aren't the only places that you can get great sport action right here in Amarillo. 12 months out of the year, Amarillo's got its fair share of top-notch sporting events.
Not only is it just about the football, it's just about family entertainment, or entertainment for clients, or entertainment for not only the Amarillo area, but the surrounding areas.
And entertain they do. For nearly a decade, arena football is called Amarillo home. First is the Amarillo Dusters, now the Lone Star Football League's Amarillo Venom play on the turf, the Amarillo Civic Center, Saturday nights during the summer.
And when people think that it's a good product, they're willing to spend their hard-earned money to come and watch the guys.
Same goes for another popular Amarillo sport. Switch out the floor at the Civic Center Coliseum and you've got ice hockey from September to May.
Ice hockey's been around since the 70s when we had the Wranglers and then the Rattlers and then the Gorillas and of course now the Bulls. So then there's a lot of people in this area that enjoy hockey. We've got a lot of ex-hockey players that still live here.
The Bulls, now in their third season, are a little different than their predecessors though. Before, the athletes were professionals. Players now are just looking for their big break.
This is a club team for them. They come here hoping to get noticed by college scouts, and that's what they want to do, is to get those scholarships. And that's really what our goal is, to get these kids to the next level, whether it's going to be in the college ranks or professional NHL.
No matter the sport, though, these Amarillo franchises are doing their part to increase tourism in town.
When the other teams come into town, when they're visiting in town, then they're going to stay in hotels. When they stay in hotels, then they're also going to eat in our restaurants. They're also going to buy fuel. They're going to go buy, whatever snacks they need to get for the team as well too. So there's more money that goes in and out because of the Bulls. I mean, we got fans like this last weekend in games. We had out-of-town fans that came into town. They had to spend the night. They had to do those things as well too. So, the impact that we have is, it's probably $300,000, $500,000 a year, if not more than that.
Providing the local economy with a much-needed jolt and a chance to watch the drama of sport unfold up close. The Amarillo Bulls hit the ice in September and they play through May. If you want to see some arena football, you can catch the Amarillo Venom starting in April through the end of the summer. And the Amarillo Sox start in the summer months and play through September. Coming up next on this special edition of Studio 4, we are headed outdoors. Minutes from Amarillo, you'll find the quaint little town of Canyon. It's home to a historic square and to the Panhandle Plains Historic Museum. Texas' largest history museum is sometimes referred to as the Smithsonian of Texas. It includes over 2 million artifacts and covers 235,000 square feet. It even includes the oldest remaining Ford produced for sale in the world, a 1903 Model A that was number 28 off the manufacturing line. It's also just minutes away from one of the largest canyons in the country. In 1934, the more than 29,000 acres of the Palo Duro Canyon State Park opened its gates. The canyon is 120 miles long, as much as 20 miles wide, and has a maximum depth of more than 200 feet. It's known to most as the country's second largest canyon, smaller only to the Grand Canyon. Palo Duro Canyon was formed by water erosion from the Prairie Dog Town fork of the Red River. The water deepens the canyon by moving sediment downstream, while the wind and water erosion continue to widen it. Humans have called the canyon home for about 12,000 years. Nomadic tribes gave way to Apache Indians and later Comanche and Kiowa tribes, who lived in the canyon until 1874. In 1876, Charles Goodnight opened the J.A. Ranch. At its peak, the ranch had more than 100,000 head of cattle. Goodnight ran the ranch until 1890. Although much smaller, the J.A. Ranch remains a working ranch today. It's a setting perfect to explore the rich history of the Texas Panhandle, and every summer, the outdoor musical drama Texas takes the stage. Texas has been performed more than 2,700 times and has been seen by more than 3 million people during its run in the Palo Duro Canyon State Park. And here's another interesting fact for you. Palo Duro Canyon State Park is actually home to the rare Palo Duro Canyon mouse. It's the only place that you can find that mouse. And Eric, you've got another little trivia question for us now, right?
Well, it is a good trivia question.
Okay.
Palo Duro, in Spanish, translated English, is hard wood or hard stick.
Okay.
There are a lot of kind of trees down there in Palo Duro Canyon, but what tree gives the name hardwood to Palo Duro Canyon?
That I don't know.
Do
we have multiple choice
We
questions?
have multiple choices on this one.
Okay, so we got what? Mesquite?
Mesquite, oak, juniper, and willow.
Okay. Well, I would probably pick mesquite, just because I know that that's down there a lot, right? But I feel like I'm wrong the way you're looking at me.
And you're correct.
I am?
You're wrong.
Oh.
The correct answer is juniper.
Okay.
And those are the trees that are on the side of the walls of the canyon, kind of evergreen, very dark in color. They've been there for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Okay.
So they were the trees that were in place when the Spanish conquistadors came through the area in about 1540.
Lovely.
Hence, they're the tree that we think gives the name hardwood or Palo Duro to Palo Duro Canyon.
Eric, you're just full of information, okay?
Thank you for saying it that way.
Okay, coming up next, we take a look at one of the most important and diverse parts of Amarillo life. Its cuisine. From Tex-Mex to fine dining, Amarillo eats are ever-changing and always delicious. That's next. Welcome back. All this exploring has probably got you a little hungry. And lucky for you and for all of us, Amarillo is home to some pretty spectacular culinary options. Here are some of the hot spots.
You know, I think entertainment is a big part of our lives, and in Amarillo, part of that entertainment is eating out. We all do it, we all love it, and you know, you almost never plan an event that isn't centered around the food. Let's go to the restaurant before we go to the show. Let's go here before we go to the game. It's all about the food, and you know, whether it's tailgating or whether it is fine dining like here at BL Bistro.
Beth is right. Amarillo loves to eat. True, Mexican food is probably one of the most popular choices.
I love the gorditas. Gorditas means little fat ones, and they're hand-patted corn cakes filled with chicken or beef, and they make them homemade every day. Well, you can't get that in a Mexican restaurant that is just going by a chain menu.
Unique Mexican food? Check. Not to be outdone, though, by a Texas classic.
My chicken fried heart belongs to Tim Youngblood at Stockyard Cafe. It is just the best. When we have international visitors or friends from out of town, we're out there, whether it's breakfast or lunch. We think that is a great way to show them Texas and the true Texas.
Beth Duke has been around Amarillo for a while. She's seen restaurants come, go, and stay for a long time.
And growing up here in Amarillo, we had great food, but we didn't always have fresh seafood or the fresh things from other markets. And now you can get almost anything year-round.
But what she's noticed lately is a dramatic shift to a more diverse Amarillo palate.
Then you have Ohms, where you have organic elk tenderloin on the menu. When would you expect to get elk from New Zealand in a Texas fine dining restaurant?
Beth credits technology and better shipping availability to the change in taste. That and major immigration to Amarillo from other parts of the world.
You know, in the 70s, we had a major immigration from Indochina, and that's what started all of our great Thai restaurants, our Asian restaurants, and now we even have Filipino restaurants and some other things, that Vietnamese restaurants that you wouldn't think about, but a lot of it has been from the immigrants who've brought their own cuisine and their entrepreneurial spirit.
A unique opportunity for eaters in Amarillo to experience the world just by sitting down for dinner.
And it's really exciting because it's introduced everybody to a lot more diversity, a lot more new tastes, and it's not just chicken fried steak and barbecue.
Are you hungry yet? Well, don't worry, it's almost time to eat, but for now, we've got a little bit more of this special edition of Studio 4 on the way right after this. A lot of information today on We Are Amarillo, but Eric, you have a few more interesting tidbits for us, right?
I think I have three more things, okay? Starting with the quarter horse. Over 5 million American quarter horses are registered with the American Quarter Horse Association here in Amarillo.
There are people too, aren't there?
And there are people, yes. The Hall of Fame has 245 members about.
Okay.
Only 94 of them are horses, so the rest are people.
Okay, very nice, very nice. What else?
Rick Husband International Airport. The 7th longest civilian runway in the nation is out there at Rick Husband International Airport. That's really kind of assuring when you're landing in bad weather, I think.
Exactly, precisely. And one more.
And then finally, the streets here in downtown Amarillo, our beautiful brick streets, they date to the early 1900s, and I'm told that they were installed by the prisoners in the county jail back in the early 1900s.
That's impressive. You know all sorts of stuff.
You did not want to be in jail in Amarillo in the early 1900s.
I would think so. I would agree. Well, we could talk all day, Eric, but we got to wrap things up. So we appreciate all your help in helping us explore Amarillo. And guys, thank you so much for joining in today to We Are Amarillo as we've stepped into the real Texas, Amarillo.